So I get a lot of questions about securely attached people. And I think this comes from the fact that so many insecure attachment styles didn't really have secure modeling of behavior and how to handle different situations growing up. So I wanted to make kind of an ongoing series of how a securely attached person would respond to X. And in this video specifically, I want to take you through how a securely attached person would respond to somebody being dismissive while in a conflict or argument. So let's say there's a bit of a disagreement, there's some kind of conflict, and the dismissive avoidant just shuts down. How would a securely attached person respond to that and deal with that? So we're going to cover like 5 key things that a securely attached person would probably do. And if you have other questions about how a securely attached person would respond to XYZ, please put them in the comments below and I'll add them to ongoing videos in this series. And that way we can get more healthy modeling for what behaviors we should take part in if we're working to become securely attached, and really what a secure and healthy relationship would look like. So the first thing a securely attached person would do is they would recognize that the person is upset or hurt because they're shutting down. And securely attached people have enough bandwidth and emotional availability and awareness as a general rule to recognize like when somebody's in a coping mechanism, it's because they're in pain. So the first thing a securely attached person would do if they see somebody shut off is they would actually empathize and validate that person's emotional state. Now, this is not me saying, and I want to be really clear, this is not me saying that if somebody does something that's not the healthiest coping mechanism in a relationship, that we should just like, walk on eggshells around it or things like that. But we can validate people's emotional state in a way that allows us to maintain a healthy connection to them without validating their behavior. And this is exactly what a secure person would proceed to do. So they might say, for example, hey, I can see that you're upset right now. I can tell that you need space, but also we have to talk about this. So if you need a moment, go take your time, but I want to know that you're going to come back and we're going to hash this out in a healthy way so that we can resolve it together. And what they would be doing essentially is validating that person and where they're coming from, but not, and validating like their emotions, but not validating their behaviors. They're not saying, hey, it's okay to shut down forever. It's okay to stonewall. They're saying, I get that you're coping right now. I get that you're in pain and that's why you're shutting down. But this isn't the right way of handling this. So take a moment, take the time that you need. And then when you're ready, let's come back and let's hash this out because we need proper resolution. So in other words, they're literally validating the emotions and also communicating what they think the most appropriate or healthy behavior is going forward. And so this is a really important part of dealing with conflict as a whole. We want to be able to keep that channel of communication open and not make somebody else an enemy because of having a difference in a conflict. And we do that by validating their feelings and where they're coming from. And by validating where somebody is coming from and what they're feeling, it's like saying, hey, I still see you. I still see what's going on for you. I care about you and I want to work this out. But also, this is what we need to be doing to get there. So that's a really important first sort of 2-step approach. And it tends to work very well with dismissive avoidance when they're shutting down, because DAs are very much seeking a sense of safety in their ability to talk about things. They can be conflict avoidant because they don't really know how to deal with stuff. And they also don't usually know how to express. So getting that like, hey, I understand you. I see where you're coming from. That empathy, knowing that there's like this intention to maintain harmony and safety while working through a conflict is actually what makes the dismissive avoidant more likely to be approach oriented in terms of their behaviors to reapproach that conflict and work things out over time. Now, the third step a securely attached person is likely to take is the ability to take themselves into consideration next. So they're not just taking into consideration like, hey, what we should be doing, what the healthy outcome is, but actually what their needs are. So they're able to take a look and be like, okay, for this conflict to be resolved, I would need X, Y, Z. And when the DA comes back around and has had some time to process, and sometimes it's immediate, right? Like when that approach is utilized, sometimes the DA like is like, okay, I get it. Like, let's talk about it. But sometimes it's 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, depending on like how DA somebody is and what the conflict is, right? So like how intense the situation is. So when the DA is ready to communicate, the securely attached person will express what they need in order for resolution to be there. So they might say, look, I get that you're upset. I want to hear you out and see where you're coming from. I know for me, I'm really needing XYZ to feel resolved in this situation. So I really need you to, be more reassuring, or I really need you to, create more support in what we're doing here together by contributing through XYZ. Like they'll communicate in a very specific way about what they're needing and what that looks like. And this is what allows the dismissive avoidant to understand them. And again, if the securely attached person is like validating the DA's emotions, ready to have a healthy conversation, and their state is regulated, like they're coming at it through like, hey, we've got a problem, but we're going to solve it. Like we're here together. Let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. Let's get to the bottom of it. If they're regulated enough, it's like validating that there's tension. Yeah, there's a problem, but we're here together to fix it. And it makes the fear that DAs have around conflict so much more obsolete. Like it makes it something where they don't just go into fight or flight mode and just kind of shut down as a way to protect themselves because they don't need to or feel the need to. So that's step number 3. The securely attached person will clearly communicate their needs. By the way, if you're like, hey, what do securely attached people look like in relationships? I actually have a whole course that you can check out for free for 7 days. And it's called How the Securely Attached Person Shows Up in Each of the 6 Stages of Relationships. And it's basically providing a roadmap or model for like what secure love looks like, and how from the dating stage to the honeymoon stage, the power struggle stage, how that can be broken down. And how each of those stages can impact, or basically how the securely attached person will approach each of those stages, and then the impact that that has on a relationship overall. So it's the roadmap to what secure healthy love looks like. And if you grew up in a way where you were like, I have no idea what that's supposed to look like, and you want to check out for free for 7 days a model for that, you can use that link down below. That will give you access to that course. And it's only like an hour and a half long or so. So you can definitely get through it in 7 days. Um, so anyway, so when we go back to this, like there's this ability to empathize, talk about what the healthiest outcome would be, take themselves into consideration, communicate their needs, and then ask what their partner needs as well. Okay, so hey, what do you need to feel resolved right now? Like, what would make you feel better in this situation, or what would bring you relief? And then when the partner expresses it, meet the need as much as they can without self-abandoning. So if the DA says like I need to only see each other once a month, right? It's kind of a joke, but let's say the DA said that. The securely attached person might say, "Hey, look, I understand that you're really busy and that you might need a little more space than I would hope for in a relationship. And I can acknowledge that. But I know for me as a person, my baseline is to make sure that I see somebody that I'm dating once a week. And if we can't do that, I'm not sure if it would be the right relationship for me, because that's a baseline. So, I can, instead of seeing each other 2, 3 times a week, I can go down to once a week. But once a week is definitely where I have to draw the line in the sand, because that's what I need. And I have to be respectful to my own needs as well. So, as an example, and obviously like a DA isn't probably going to say, hey, I want to see you once a month. I think if somebody's saying that, they probably are not that interested in a relationship. I mean, unless it's like long distance and there's a lot of complexities to it. But if you live within range of somebody and they want to see you once a month, I think there's probably like another layer to that story. But just as an example to see it, the securely attached person can compromise and make a concession and say, look, we can have a little more space than we're used to, but this is my baseline and this is what I would need. And I would hope that you would participate in that if we're going to make this work together. So they're able to make a compromise, but without self-abandoning. And this is really where we get into like healthy modeling for communication, for needs, for boundaries, and how we learn how to work through conflict, because we're able to literally take ourselves into consideration, take that person into consideration, be fully transparent and honest. And it's only from that space that we can really come to healthy compromises. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. This is just one topic. I know we can go do a lot of like how a securely attached person would respond to, you name it. Please name it in the comments below for what you want to see, and I'll make videos accordingly. And I think this might be a fun way of just organizing content, sharing, educating, teaching, because I know a lot of people growing up really had no semblance for like what healthy love looks like and healthy conflict communication and all of those different things. So please let me know questions that you have, and I'm happy to make content about it. And again, we have that course you can check out for free for 7 days, all about like everything that a secure relationship should look like in each of the 6 stages. So thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, by the way, I make daily YouTube content all about integrated attachment theory, really, which is basically the overlap of traditional attachment theory with the subconscious mind, core wounds, needs, boundaries, communication, behaviors, or coping mechanisms that we use, and how to emotionally regulate. It's sort of I trademarked and organized all this information over the past few years. So that's all over this channel. And if you want to learn more, there is a daily YouTube video out, so you can hit the notification bell and subscribe if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in future videos.